Hi guys, this is Tiki here. I am a returning Magic the Gathering player, and I just returned to Magic Online about 3 to 4 months ago, after taking a hiatus for about 3 years. I am primarily a blue-red Scred Delver deck player. That's what most of my Pauper events have been logged as, apart from a couple teachings decks and a couple control decks of some variety. But blue-red Scred is what I have been playing a lot. I would like to think that I'm an above average player, as a lot of Magic the Gathering players seem to think. For reference, I've entered 4 different Pauper Challenges so far. I DC'd out of one of them, so I consider that just 0-0, and I got compensation for that. I bombed out 2-4, 2 wins, 4 losses out of another one. I won one of my Pauper Challenges about a month ago, and I split in the finals with Mundivs here, who is a very good blue-black flicker player. And then just this past weekend, I got 3rd with this list, I believe. And I just wanted to talk about blue-red Delver, and I noticed that there was a lot of people that haven't been seeing as much success, or maybe their card choices didn't seem to make sense to me, or maybe my card choices don't make sense to them. It's just very minor changes that I've personally made, and I just wanted to go through my card changes, and then I wanted to go through the top 8, my top 8 run of the last weekend. I went 6-1 in the Swiss, and I lost round 2 to Affinity, and so I thought that the main deck was very good, and the sideboard was, you know, as all sideboards are. So, just for reference, the first deck I played, and this is the list I used to win the Pauper Challenge about a month ago, was this list. And this is a list where I just copied the main deck, because I had no idea how to play Pauper at the time. I just assumed everything was right. I just copied a 5-0 list, and it was very good at the time. And I had a lot of I have a lot of good things to say about this list, but I've made a couple changes that may not make sense to a lot of players, especially new Blue-Ray Devil players, or even old ones that are coming back. And so I'm just going to talk about them in a second. The sideboard, I changed a lot. There was like only one relic. There was one Swirling Sandstorm. They had like 4 Hydroblasts, I think, and like 2 Stormbind Geists. And so like a lot of the numbers didn't make sense to me, and so this is the sideboard I made, basically on the spot, and then I've been using. I found the numbers to be pretty good, so I've been using this sideboard continuously. And so this is the list I changed to. There's only 3 cards difference from the Pauper Challenge I won about a month ago. This list has a 4th Scred instead of a 4th Bolt. It has a 4th Preordain instead of the 1st Dispel, and it has a 4th Augur Bolus instead of the 4th Delver. And I'm just going to go over these really quickly before entering the matches. In my opinion, the 4th Scred is better than the 4th Bolt, because Bolt isn't a very good card in this deck, in my opinion. It's very rare that deals 3 damage to target player is actually relevant, because this isn't like Modern or Legacy I found, where you go Bolt, Snapcaster Bolt, hit them for 2, and then that deals 8 damage out of nowhere. But this is like a lot of the times, most matchups, UR Delver is very grindy, and a lot of your minions just hit like little wet noodles. Basically, Fairy Miscreant hits for 1, Spellstarter hits for 1, Augur hits for 1, Delver hits for 3, but it has a huge Lightning Bolt target on it. Ninja hits for 2, but it has even bigger Lightning Bolt target on it. And so, when you're just getting chip damage in for 1, it's very rare that you're going to be able to bolt somebody out with like 3 bolts in your hand. And also, you never really fetch more than 1 mountain, and so the times when you can go double bolt is very rare. And so I found that bolt isn't very good, and the 4th Scred is amazing, especially because bolt is also not very good in matchups like Affinity, where the only target is Frogmite. There are the corner cases where you can combo Augur Bolus and Lightning Bolt to block Mirror Enforcer, but it never feels good to do that. And if Bolt isn't even good in the aggro matchups, like Affinity, and also Stompy. Like if there's a, you never want to lightning bolt a creature on their turn, anyways, because of Hunger of the Howl Pack, and so you don't. If you're just doing a main phase lightning bolt, and then it's just okay. And then if you're doing Scred, no, and then Hunger of the Howl Pack also counters lightning bolt really hard because it puts 3 counters on it. And so if the creature has 4 or 5 health, lightning bolt is actually just worthless. And so I found that lightning bolt's like actually one of the worst cards in a lot of matchups. And Scred it also has utility in that it can kill Gurmag Angler. It can kill basically anything with a big butt, like Mnemonic Wall. So actually Scred, in my opinion, has more utility in control matchups than lightning bolt does. By that same vein, I think Delver is actually the worst creature in the deck. That might come as a shock to a lot of people, but I personally feel that the best creature in the deck is Ninja, by far. The best offensive creature, I should say. And because Ninja, it creates 10 times the pressure that Delver does. It only hits 1 damage less, but you draw a card. And because this deck has so much counterspells and so many counterspells, and a lot of card draw, this Ninja can snowball you to games that you have no business winning if they just don't have 1 removal spell. And so, a lot of the time, because Ninja is the best card in your deck, you want to have cards that work well with Ninja. And if we're going to rank them, I guess, Spell Stutter is the best card you can Ninja. Because it has Flash and because it counters a spell, it basically removes a card from your opponent's hand. Spell Stutter is amazing with Ninja. Augur is also very good with Ninja because you get an instant or sorcery. Fairy Miscreant is about hit or miss sometimes. If you have another Fairy Miscreant, it draws you a card. But even if you do have another Fairy Miscreant, drawing a card is worse than the aforementioned Augur Bolus and Spell Stutter Sprite. And then you have Delver. You never want a Ninja. You never feel good about ninjaing a Delver. And but that's like, that happens very often. Let's say like turn 1, I have Delver. So let's say like my hand is a 4-card hand consisting of Delver, 2 islands, and a Ninja. I think if I'm on the play, assuming that the opponent doesn't have a open mountain or swamp, I will always Ninja the Delver. I can't think of many situations where I won't Ninja the Delver, because even if this flips, and let's say even if I have a counterspell backup, I will still Ninja it, because a 3/2 flyer is just worse than a 2/2 draw card, even with the counterspell. Maybe if I'm scared I'm gonna die on turn 3, because like the affinity is gonna like pump out 5 10/10s, 5 4/4s I mean. But except in those really, really small corner case scenarios, I will always Ninja the Delver, even if it flips. So if I'm not even keeping a 3/2 flyer around, then it's just worse. Like if I'm always Ninjaing the Delver, then that to me shows that Delver isn't a very good card. Final note is the Dispel wasn't doing much, so I added the 4th Preordain. That may or may not be right. I don't think the 4th Preordain is necessary. This could be any other card. Dispel, I've thought about Dispel, I've thought about Snap, I've thought about the 4th Bolt, even though, as I said, Bolt is very good. The 4th Delver is also a possibility, but I like Preordain right now. It smooths out your draws, and especially late game, it helps a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna go straight into the matches. Here, let me look for this. Round 8. So I'm against P. Proteus. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name, I'll be honest. But we've been talking on Reddit for a bit about this matchup in particular, because this is the top 8, and there were a couple lines where he wasn't sure if what he did was correct, and so I decided to, this is the main reason why I'm recording this video, is to see if his lines made sense from my perspective. One that I would love to play first. We have a very solid hand. My plan is turn 1 Ponder and set up the Augur Bolus for turn 2. So I go turn 1 Ponder, leave up an instant or sorcery, and then Augur Bolus turn 2, and then turn 3 Evolving Wilds, leave up the Spellstutter Sprite. That's my game plan. Gush is a turn 4 or 5 play that isn't really relevant to the story right now. I had no idea what the opponent was playing. Opponent mulled to 6. I ponder, and right off the bat, I see Counterspell, Ash Barrens, Lightning Bolt. I leave the Lightning Bolt at the very bottom so I can find it with Augur, and I think that's a better choice than Counterspell because I don't want to show my opponent that I have Counterspell yet. I don't know if the Bolt's actually going to be good in this matchup. It might not be, but might as well just take it. And then Counterspell is also very good because I can leave a Spell Stutter or Counterspell on turn 3. Yep. So that's what happens, and then he does turn 1 Secluded Step. That signals to me that it's Boros, most likely. There aren't any other white decks that run this, or not many white decks in general, I suppose. Turn 2 Augur. Surprise, there's Lightning Bolt on top. He does 2 turn 2 Prophetic Prism, makes sense to me. And then I'm going to do what I mentioned, leave all Spell Setters, Counterspell. I've had a very good draw so far, and I'm feeling pretty good right now. He does Core Skyfisher. Now, my options here are Counterspell or Fetch Lightning Bolt, and I decided to Counterspell because I want, it's basically a 2-for-1 at this point with the Prophetic Prism, and so I'm just trying to shut down the card engine right now. I'm not sure if that's right, but it made sense to me at the time. And I obviously fetched the Evolving Wilds. Here's an interesting turn. I can play Evolving Wilds, I can fetch Ash Baron and play an island, or just play an island. And I think I choose to play the Evolving Wilds, yeah. Because I don't need the mana, basically. So I guess it wasn't that interesting. I apologize. What does he do? He plays another Core Skyfisher. I have no answer to this, except Bolt, and I think I do end up bolting it end of turn. Because the reason why I bolt it is because they don't have any other good targets for Bolt. If I don't bolt this, I'm going to be bolting a Glinthawk anyways, so I might as well just bolt this. I decided to... Oh, this is interesting. So I decided to fetch the Ash Baron here because I have, for mana efficiency reasons. But this was a huge mistake. Because I really want a shuffle effect in case I draw one of my 2 Brainstorms. And because I shuffled here, I don't have a shuffle effect in my hand anymore because I'm going to crack the Evolving Wilds to set up the turn 5 Gush without the return clause. So I should not have shuffled here. That's a huge mistake in my opinion. I don't remember if it comes to bite me in the butt, but shuffling here is a huge mistake. Like I said, I'm not a perfect player. I make a lot of mistakes in all these games, even the top 8. So, yeah. This is my first time going through these games too, so hopefully I don't make too many mistakes. I draw Scred, I play my island, and now I don't have a shuffle effect. If this was Ash Baron, I'd be so much happier. But because it's not, if I do end up gushing and finding a Brainstorm, I'm going to be really sad. He does Core Sanctifier. I think this is a 1-of in his deck. Just a 3-mana 2/3 that I don't really care about. I guess they're going to have a standoff for a while. And I'm going to gush end a turn. Makes sense to me. There's no reason to bounce my lands. I drew Ninja, which is huge. And now I have the option to Scred or Bolt this, and then I can Ninja in the Delver, and he's representing 1 red with Galvanic Blast or Bolt, but I still have the Spell Setter for it. So this is a really safe play, and it allows me the opportunity to draw 2 cards, because 1 off the Ninja, and then another off the Augur when it re-enters the battlefield. So this is a free 2-for-0 that I'm really interested in. I Ninja it in. Oh my, and I drew all the Brainstorm, so that makes me really mad. Well, it makes me really sad to see this, because now the Ash Baron that I did pitch actually did affect the game somewhat, but I guess I can't do anything. I guess that's not a big deal because I can augur Brainstorm here, and I hope I did that. Glinthawk, I'm gonna Spell Stutter. He's gonna probably Galvanic Blast it, but it's a 1-for-1, so I'm fine with that. I don't think there's a situation where I can get value off the Spell Stutter unless I play a Fairy Miscreant too. And I don't have one in my hand, so I just decided to fire it off. He journeys nowhere, so he has a pretty good turn there. And he plays another Prism. So I find the fetch land, but I think here it's just better to Brainstorm and Augur to get the full effect of Brainstorm instead of the Evolving Wilds. So I Brainstorm first, I think. I hope I do. I Brainstorm first, good. And then here I can pitch. I'm definitely putting back the Evolving Wilds because I don't need it. And then whatever I draw, whatever I put back doesn't matter. It's basically whatever I want to show my opponent. And I decided to think I show Scred? Yeah. Playing the Delver first is a mistake, I think, but it shouldn't matter. Play the Augur, find Scred, big surprise, and once again. And then I think I preordain last, so that's another. It's like these are basic sequencing mistakes that probably cost me no percentage points, but I probably still shouldn't do anyway. I think I bottom top for obvious reasons. I don't want another land. I Scred that, and then I just pass the turn. Glinthawk. Glinthawk on Prophetic Prism, I believe, is what's happening. I'm just letting him do whatever he wants because I tapped out. I think I have 6 through this turn. And I believe I don't flip. Yeah, I show a Spell Stutter. So now we have a standoff. I could Scred at the end of his turn and then re-Scred, but then I'd be getting in 2 points of damage. Maybe that's worth it. I'm not sure if I do. I don't think I do, because I'm looking. I'm waiting for my Delver to flip. Yeah, I don't. And then I'm also worried about a Palace Monarch, because I really want to have a Scred for that. So if I just double Scred here, then I won't have another Scred. So I reveal an island, so I'm a little sad about that. He cycles. We're just having a little standoff here. It's turn 9. He plays another Core Sky Fissure, and I think I counter this with Counterspell. Makes sense to me right now. Yeah, I counter it. It's just another 2-for-1. Okay, I find the Scred. And so now that I have my 3rd Scred, I'm willing to double Scred here, and then if I have another Scred for the Palace Monarch. So I just wait till next turn. Probably playing the land is bad because of Brainstorm and Shuffle effects again. But it's better for Gush. So that's debatable, playing that land. I Scred, and then end of turn, I Scred here. And at this point he has 3 cards in his hand, so I'm not really sure what he has. I'm thinking some combination of bolts and just lands in his hand, because he hasn't been playing anything. And I'm fairly happy at this point, because I'm assuming his hand is blanks, and my hand is okay. He plays Draven Inspector, I go for the Spell Stutter. He has the Blast, so that's a good play by him because he hasn't been blasting the Delver, even though he's been getting hit for 4. And he went for the Blast on the Spell Stutter, and so that's just a good play by him for being patient. And I get punished. Well, not punished, but 1-for-1. He gets his Draven Inspector down. He cycles it. This is a really long game. another Prophetic Prism. He's just cycling a bunch. He bolts it. Yeah, that's good. And now I guess these two guys just hang out for a while, doing nothing. I ponder, perfect ponder. Delver, Fairy Miscreant, Preordain. I think I keep them. The Fairy Miscreant is really bad here. The Delver is okay as a 3/2 flyer. Ideally what I was looking for was a Ninja, I think. But I think what I do is I put Fairy Miscreant, I did put it in the order of Fairy Miscreant, Preordain, and then Delver. So Delver's on top. And then I can flip the Delver with Preordain next turn. And that gives me the option of bottoming the Fairy Miscreant. I think I was thinking about also shuffling here, but the problem with shuffling is that I still have quite a bit of lands in my deck. Well, not many, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 6 here, 7, 8, 11 lands. So I have 7 lands left in my deck, and I've actually had situations where drawing double land just in this situation will actually just end the game because I don't do anything for 2 turns. So I'm actually kind of scared to shuffle, and I like having the Preordain just in case I do draw double lands. So I keep the Delver, I play Delver, basically present another threat. I think that's the second Delver, 2 of the 3. So the Delver's been pretty good. He actually hasn't seen a Battle Screech yet, I think. Yeah, he's like 27 cards in, and he hasn't seen a Battle Screech yet. Or a Monarch, actually. So his hand was pretty bad, I think. I think if he had the Monarch, he would have played it by now. I've seen his video, his perspective, and I don't actually remember if he had a Monarch at this point. But I'm not exactly sure what he has in his hand because he hasn't played any Battle Screeches or Monarchs yet, so his RNG has been not that great, in my opinion. A Battle Screech would shut down Delver really hard. Reminds me of the old Lingering Soul days. So he passed with doing nothing, and I flipped a Preordain. What a big shocker. Played Preordain. Mountain Fairy Miscreant. I still think Fairy Miscreant's really bad in this situation, so I think I go bottom. Yeah, this is the situation I was talking about. There was a Mountain and then an Ash Baron right after the Fairy Miscreant, so it's double 2 lands in a row. And if I shuffled the Ponder, that could have easily happened to me. And so I draw an Ash Baron, so I'm still sad about that. That's a little bit of bad RNG, I guess, in my favor, because 2 lands is kind of unusual there. What's he doing? Alchemist Vial, yeah. Stops a Ninja, so it's kind of a little bit annoying, but not a big deal. Not shuffling for obvious reasons. I draw another land, so that was 3 lands in a row. I don't remember the game going this way, but it has been a couple days. Radiant Fountain, doesn't matter. Palace Monarch? Okay, so he finds the Palace Monarch. Oh, and he has the Alchemist Vial, so he gets to keep Monarch for another turn, unless I kill both of these things. And get my Augur in as well. So yeah, it's a little awkward for me. I found the Augur, so I think what I try to do is I look for another Bolt, because then I can Ash Baron for another Mountain, and then Scred Bolt these 2 things, and then I'll be able to get in with the Augur and steal the Monarch. So I think I go for that. I'm always Auguring anyways, but I'm looking for a Bolt. I found a Counterspell, which is really good, but pretty good, but it doesn't help with the Monarch situation, so he gets to draw another card. He taps it down, or pacifies it, I guess. So he gets to keep Monarch for another turn. What does he do? He attacks with Palace Sentinel, and at this point, I have no idea what he has. I'm assuming it's a Bolt, but then Bolt doesn't make any sense because he can Bolt a Delver, so obviously that's not a Bolt. But I just block anyways. I believe I block. Yeah, because I'm just curious to see what it does. I had no idea what it was. And then I think it was Rally. Yeah, he plays Rally. So he plays Rally Presence to try and kill my auger, and my thought process is, if he plays another Alchemist Vial after this, and I don't want to counterspell that obviously, but if he plays it, then he gets to block here, he gets to block the auger and then Vial the Delver, so I realized I need to keep my auger alive. So blocking here was bad, because it forced the scred. So I have to scred it to keep it alive, but now I know that Rally is in the game. What does he do? He plays another Palace Monarch. I don't think this matters. The only thing that matters right now at this point in the game is getting my Delver in to steal the Monarch. Steal the Crown, I guess? I'm not exactly sure what's even called. Sometimes this fast forward button doesn't work, and sometimes I'm always scared about that. Okay, he bolts the Delver. Delver is #1 priority to steal back the Monarch, so I counterspell this. Gush is a great draw for obvious reasons. I'm looking for Brainstorm, hopefully. I miss, but these two cards are obviously awesome. He has 1 card in hand, and I have 2 counterspells. He has 2 cards in hand, and I have 2 counterspells, so I'm feeling really good here. He double swings here, and I'm thinking the worst thing that can happen is that he has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 mana, and he does triple Rally. So Rally, and then he flashes back Rally, and then rallies again, and then rallies another time. But that's only 15 damage, I think. 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 15. And so I think it's okay. Like, I don't think I don't block here. I was thinking about double blocking to kill the Three-Ribbon Inspector, but then I realized I can just kill him on the backswing, and so I don't do any blocks. And even if he does do triple Rally here, which I think he does do triple, yeah, he does. He does do the triple Rally, and then that's only 15. So he whacks me for 15, and he steals back the Monarch, and he gets to have 2 cards. But I notice he only has 1 red, and even if he has 2 cards, I have 2 counterspells, so there's no way I ever die here. And I just swing back and hit him. He dies. So that was game 1. Really back and forth game. I think he got a bit unlucky because he didn't draw any battle screeches, and his Monarch wasn't protected as a result, and so he only got to draw 2 cards off it. I guess I only drew 1 card, the Preordain off of it too, but he also drew it so late in the game that it didn't end up mattering. Because I've noticed that like they get to gain both card advantage and creatures faster than us. Like they're faster out of the gates. Because they get their prison down, they get their core Sky Fissure down, they get their Battle Screeches down, which is like really awkward to counterspell because of the flashback. And so they're just faster out of the gate. And if they have to get the Monarch down as well, they can just play their Pillow Fort defense, who are never attacking until they have a billion Galvanic Blasts, and then they just kill everything on my board. So I've noticed that happens a lot with me when I play these decks. So I don't think it's a really good matchup, especially game 1. And I used to cut Delver in this matchup because of Battle Screech, but now because of Monarch, I feel like I need to keep Delvers in to steal back the Monarch. So that's also something to think about. Cutting the 4th Delver, I think, makes me lose some percentage points against this matchup because I don't have another Delver. Let's go to game 2. Game 2 was the part. So I thought my opponent played that pretty well that game. Not much to talk about. Game 2. Oh, whoops. Try this again. Game 2, this is a mulligan. I brought in Hydroblast for the Electricity, specifically, but it's just basically a Dispel. I don't have Dispel on my sideboard right now. He mulls to 6, I obviously mull 2. He mulls to 5, so it's a mull to 5 against the mull to 6. I'm on the draw, so I'm obviously favored. He plays Bojuka Bog turn 1, so I know it's not a good hand. Same thing here, Ponder into... Oh, yeah. I think I preordain here. Let me check. Yeah, I preordain here. So this is interesting. I've learned that preordain. I was taught that preordain is better early game and Ponder is better late game. Because if you're specifically looking for like a ninja or a counterspell late game, then Ponder will dig one card further than Preordain. And while Preordain Preordain is better early because say you want to find a say you're against like a control deck and you see on the top Lightning Bolt and a land and you really want the land, then Ponder makes you keep both of them, but Preordain you can put the land on the the land on the top and the bolt on the bottom. So I've always Preordained first in the early game, but with Augur in play, it's interesting because you can set up your Augur to make sure it hits for 100% with Ponder. So I think that's a little debatable. Which is better to do, Preordain or Ponder in this situation? I think Ponder might have been better to set just because I know I'm going to turn 2 Augur. Just as a side note, this hand is not great against this deck because of the double gush. I don't remember if I casted even one gush this game, but gush is usually like a turn 4 play, I think, because you usually have 3 islands and a mountain in play. Sorry, it's a turn 5 play because at that point you have 3 islands and a mountain in play, and then you return 2 islands to your hand and you have 2 islands up for your opponent's turn for the spell stutter or counterspell or whatever. So after the gush, you want to ideally have 2 islands in play to represent counterspell. But if it's a turn 5 play, that's so far away right now, and I have 2 of them, so I don't think I end up casting both of them, or even one of them, I think. My hand, originally I wasn't going to keep anything that was a creature, so I wasn't going to keep like a stutter or miscreant, but I saw ninja, and I think because he mulled to 5, I ended up keeping the ninja. My plan was to go Augur into ninja and try and just steamroll him that way with card advantage. So I think I keep both. It's a replay, so I'm not actually sure. I'll check. But I believe I keep both. Yeah, I keep both. Good. Augur, obviously. I don't want to... Yeah, I miss here. So basically I mulled to 5 like him. Not the same, obviously, but somewhat relatable. And then he does Glint Talk into Prophetic Prism. So he's already drawn 2 cards. And so his draw has been very good, I think, in my opinion. So this is another interesting question. Do I fetch an island or a mountain here? Because I have 2 gushes specifically, I want to get the gushes out of my hand. And if I fetch for a mountain, then I'm only going to have 1 island up next turn if I do end up gushing. So this was debatable whether I should fetch for an island or a mountain. I fetched for a mountain, I believe, because I didn't want to end up drawing a bolt and being sad about that. I don't think there's ever a reason to ponder here, because I want to leave out spell stutter, but maybe I should and represent bolt, but it doesn't seem to make much sense to me. And there's no reason to ponder yet, when I can leave up spell stutter. And then he has core Skyfisher, so he's drawing more cards. So his draw has been pretty good here, in my opinion. He doesn't have a 4th land, and so that's really good news for me. I draw a counterspell, and there's a couple options here. I can gush and then leave up spell stutter, but I don't think that's great because I'm going to be really short on lands for the rest of the game. I can ponder looking for an island, but if I miss, then I'm really sad. And there's a good possibility I miss, or like maybe I hit Evolving Wilds and I can't leave up counterspell. I think if I hit Ash Baron too, I'm happy because I can Ash Baron with the mountain and then leave up 2 islands. So basically, I'm looking at 6 islands and 3 Ash Baron, I believe. So 9 outs. Yeah, I don't think the odds were great to hit, but I think I go for it anyways because the worst case scenario is I leave up spell stutter. So I go for it. I hit. I don't care about these 2 cards. Counterspell and Ponder are both really bad here, and so I just shuffle those away immediately with my Ash Baron, and then I play my island and pass the turn. He's tapping out here. Battle Screech. I have to counter this, I think, because in my mind, if I let this resolve, he's going to flash back immediately, and then he's going to have 8 power in play, and that's unbeatable for me, I think. I don't think I can ever win. I'm going to have a Stormbound Geist and an electricity to beat that, I think. And counterspell isn't even that good in this situation, right? Worst comes to worst, I just counter. I lose to Monarch, which is the one spell I really do want to counter, but I just counter this, I think, and I'm fairly happy. He can't flash it back anyways. It's also important to note that he doesn't have any red up because he bounced his Prophetic Prism. So maybe, but I think he really wanted to get his Battle's Reach down. So this is interesting. Last turn he didn't attack with his 2 flyers because he was presumably playing around Ninja, which I do have in my hand, that I preordained to the top foolishly, and it's like sitting in my hand, wondering when it's going to be surprise Ninja. But he decides to attack here, and this is the point where P. Proteus and we've had like a fairly lengthy discussion on Reddit about I wasn't sure whether attacking was right, and he wasn't sure either. I looked at it from his perspective, and his hand I think was like 2 bolts or something, but he has no red sources up, and so in my mind, from his perspective, it might have made sense because of the number of bolts, and maybe because he mulled to 5, he thought he was the aggressor, but he drew a lot of cards, so I don't think that's even true. But in my perspective, I was really happy when I saw this attack, because now I can Ninja. Basically, the problem with my hand right now was that Gush was going to do something next turn, because it's now turn 5 for me, and so I get to Gush and still have 2 islands up. But Ninja was doing nothing, and as a result, Augur was also doing nothing because it's getting blanked by these 2 flyers. And then Spell Stutter wasn't really doing much either because I didn't have a Fairy Miscreant in play, so the only thing I could counter was a Galvanic Blast. And he basically had 5 cards in hand. He had 4 cards here and a flashback. And so, from my perspective, I was really not only was I really well equipped to handle the late game because of Gush, but I just really wanted extra cards. And giving me the opportunity to Ninja here was like very good for me. And so now I have 4 lands in play. With Gush I can add a 5th land no matter what. And so I can do all 3 of these things. And he has a Prophetic Prism in his hand. And if I counter the Prophetic Prism, there's no way he can counter back unless he has Mountain Pyroblast. And so Fairy Miscreant, Ninja, Spell Stutter, these 3 are very good right now, and I can also cut him off red, I think. And I think that's what I end up doing. He doesn't get to play another red spell for the rest of the game, I think. I mean, I don't want to speak out of my butt here, but I draw a card. I draw the island, and now I don't even have to Gush. I just play Fairy Miscreant and I leave a Spell Stutter. So this is great for me, obviously. He plays his Prism. He has 2 white up. The worst thing that can happen to me with 2 white is Journey to Nowhere. And if he journeys nowhere, my Ninja, I don't really care because it's done its part. It's drawn a card. So I just Spell Stutter the Prophetic Prism. And he attacks again. Now this is a point where I'm not sure if I played correctly. I think I was debating for a long time whether I should double block here, because he's obviously on the aggro plan, so which means that if he ever does draw a mountain, then he might just end up going triple bolt on me, or triple galvanic blast on me. I guess he needs more artifacts, right? But I could get burned out, or maybe Rally the Peasants is a thing, is still in his deck. I don't believe they keep it in post sideboard. I'd be shocked if they did. But because I feel like it's a really grindy matchup. But he's been playing it very aggressively, and so I should have blocked, I think, here. I don't think I do. I don't. And so I'm at 12, and I regret it instantly. He Core Sky Fishers, and I think he bounces a Bajuka block. Yeah, he does. He doesn't really matter representing white or black, I think. Here, I just really want to get another ninja hit in. And if I want to do that, I need to draw one of my 7 bolts or screds. So I'm just gonna, I think I start digging. I believe I start with Gush. Do I start with Gush? I hope I do. I do. And then I go Augur. I miss with Gush. I have another draw 2 just in case I miss again. But I miss again. Preordain, I think, is what I take. Brainstorm doesn't make much sense without shuffle effects. Brainstorm, I miss again, I think. I think I hit here. Yeah, and I find this red finally after 3 cards, 2 cards, and then another 2 cards. On the 8th attempt, I've managed to hit on this red, which is like decent RNG, I guess. I find this red, I bolt it down, and now I think I full attack here, and that's another mistake I made this game. I could have just left it back. If he had rally into mountain bolt, I think I'm dead. I guess he can't do that, right? He doesn't have 4, 8, 11. Yeah, it's only 11, so I guess I'm not dead. And I think that's why I attacked here. I just decided there's no way I'm dead here. Are there ways I can be dead here? Now that I'm rewatching this, I'm not actually sure if that's true. Maybe Prophetic Prism, Artifact, Red Land for double red. He has 3 mana, and then he goes Blast. Yeah, I could be dead here, actually. So this attack was bad. Don't do this at home, I guess. I think this attack was bad, because he can go Artifact Red Land, Prophetic Prism, and then Blast, because he has 3 artifacts, right? Yeah. So this attack was bad. I should have left 1 back at least. The Fairy Miscreant. I don't really care about this Miscreant anyways, but I'm just thinking about locking this game up, and that means having another Ninja in play. But that's just, there's no reason to draw this many cards. It's just ridiculous. So another misplay here by me. He swings, puts me to 8, and I could actually be dead here, but he draws Boris Garrison, which is a godsend, and then he passes the turn. And here I draw the Bolt. Here Scred's worse than Bolt because he's actually kind of low right now. Like I can push him to 7 here, I think. This attack is not that loose this time because I have a Stormbound Gust, and so I'm feeling pretty safe with the blocker. I draw, and I believe I Scred one of those flyers. Scred a flyer, and then I play Stormbound Gust, and then I play Miscreant. Okay, that makes sense. I should have played that first in case I draw something good, but there was nothing I could draw. And then, so the other ways I can die here. There's still the case of Prophetic Prism, Artifact Land, Prophetic Prism into the red Artifact Land to do double blast, but I thought that the odds of that were so low, but I shouldn't have been thinking like that in the first place, so that was a mistake. He had the Prophetic Prism. I think he goes for Electrickery here. Yeah, Electrickery into Pyroblast, so you Pyroblast the Ninja down, and that's clear to me that he didn't have the double blast, obviously. So I got a little lucky there. And then I just swing here. If he trades a Ninja, that's fine. If he doesn't, I bolt him. He doesn't block, and he dies here. So that was the game. I'm not sure. From my perspective, I don't think the Battle Screech, the turn he played Battle Screech, I don't think attacking was right. Tell me what you guys think. I don't think it was right, but apart from that, I thought my opponent played really well, and I think I outdrew him both games. I think it's fair to say. Well, game 2, he had a pretty good draw, but I had a really good draw too. And then game 1, I think I just outdrew him. Like, I don't think anything more can be stated about that because he never drew any of his Battle Screeches, and I think his specific list runs 3, and he drew both of his rallies, which are really bad against me. And I also drew so many Screds and Bolts the first game, which was really nice for me. I could just bolt everything. I've actually almost never had matchups like that, where I can deny his Battle Screech both games. It's really rare for me. Usually what ends up happening is that game 1, he gets his Battle Screech down, and I get my Delver down, and then we just have a stare off for the next 20 minutes, and then he gets his Monarch down, and then he draws infinite cards, and then beats me up with card advantage. But I got fairly lucky game 1. Game 2, it's debatable who got luckier, but I don't think that really matters. So yeah, I'm gonna really quickly show you guys the top 4 now. Top 4 was interesting as well. Guy called Bugnasty 69 1989. Assuming that's his birthday. I hope that's his birthday and not a meme on 69, but anyways. I have no idea what he's playing either. And I believe this guy's the one that won the entire thing. He ends up beating me, and then in the finals he beats a mono blue Delver player. Game 1 on the draw, I believe I am. No, I believe I'm on the play. And this hand is mediocre, honestly. It's not great. I have to play Island turn 1, so I can play Counterspell turn 2, and then I can Evolving Wilds for Mountain turn 3. But it's mediocre, but on against a control deck, I could actually be pretty good. It doesn't have any pressure at all, but it has a gush, so I can play the long game. And I actually don't mind hands like these a lot of the time. I'm on the draw actually, so maybe this hand was a mulligan. It's a fairly loose keep. I'm not actually sure if this is keepable. If I draw, if it's an aggro matchup, then against like Stompy, I feel like I'm dead. Is that an accurate statement? It's close to accurate. I'm close to dead. He gets like a Nettle Sentinel turn 1 and then a Nest Invader turn 2, I think. And I get hit for 4 turn. So I'm pretty dead there. So against aggro matches I'm not happy. Against control matchups I'm pretty happy. Because Spell Stutter is really good, obviously. And then but I have a lot of, I thought I could draw out of this. I was feeling really good. It's Affinity, so I'm not that sad. Because Counterspell is one of the ways you can deal with Mirror Enforcer. I'm pretty sad because Spell Stutter Sprite's a dead card, basically. But he has a slow draw. He doesn't do anything before my turn to Counterspell, so I felt really good, actually. He plays Thoughtcast, I don't counter that. I usually don't counter Thoughtcast. Springless Drum? Okay, this is interesting. Do I counter this with Spell Stutter or not? He has a red source up, obviously, but if he blasts it, Galvanic Blast it, I don't really care. Because he basically spent all his entire turn. And I spent my entire turn. He could Frogmite here. So, if I don't counter this, the worst thing that can happen is Springleaf Drum, Frogmite, and then he has 6 artifacts, so that's Mirror Enforcer. Like, multiple, maybe. But if I do counter this, then if I do end up countering this with Spell Stutter, then the worst thing that can happen is just Frogmite. He doesn't have enough mana or artifact lines. And so I thought that if I can counter this and slow down his game a turn, then that's actually really good for me. So I believe I do end up countering. Just because you can't play Mirror Enforcer if I do counter this. Goes through, he plays Flare Husk, and I wish I countered this instead. And then he plays Frogmite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so he can't play. He can't play anything. Okay, so he has 3 power on turn 3. That's, I would say that's a fairly slow draw. I could preordain here, but I didn't really see a reason to, and I really need a red source in case I want to preordain for a bolt. So I'd rather have the red source first instead of the preordain first. So I didn't preordain, and I don't ninja here because I want to leave a counterspell. But I'm not also going to block here. It makes no sense to leave it back as a blocker because it's an equipment, obviously. So I just attack and pass the turn. He goes to attackers. He hits me for 3. And then I believe he has a really good turn here. Frogmite, I don't counter that. I usually leave Frogmites in, I usually let Frogmites go. 1 second, guys. Sorry, I have a bit of a cold right now, in case you guys don't notice. But he plays Frogmite. I don't care about Frogmite because of Augur Bolus. Augur Bolus is really good at blocking these guys. And then he plays Mirror Enforcer. I counter this because I do care about this. He plays a second Mirror Enforcer, and so now I'm pissed because he has 9 power in play on turn 4, and I haven't found a single bolt yet, or Scred. So the ways out of this is, so I did a lot of thinking this turn, and Counterspell basically dead in this matchup now, because he's gotten his little guys down. So what I'm looking for is Augur Bolus or Scred. I need Scred to deal with this guy. I need Augur Bolus to block these guys. But I thought that I couldn't. So my options here is Preordain, looking for Scred, but then I still have to deal with 5 guys. And or Ninja, and I believe I choose Ninja. It's slightly more aggressive. I don't know if that's right. The Ninja play also allows me to leave up Counterspell in case he has an Atog or the Gear Serpent guy, the blue mana, the 2 blue and a 5 mana blue that is a 5/6, and that's also unbeatable game 1. And Atog is also unbeatable game 1. So those are 2 cards I was thinking about. And so I really wanted to leave up Counterspell, even despite what I said earlier. And so if I want to leave up Counterspell, then I can either Preordain for a Scred, or a Lightning Bolt, I guess, or I can Ninja. And I said a Ninja. Maybe that's probably a mistake here. My thinking was I can Ninja here, and then next turn I can block. And if I have an Augur, I can block here too. So double block here. Block here, and like only 4 damage comes in next turn. But it might be a mistake, but I just go for it anyways. I feel like I have to get lucky, but I whiff, and I draw another Ninja, which isn't good for me. He Thoughtcasts. I'm not countering Thoughtcast. He Thoughtcast again. I'm not sure how many Thoughtcast affinity plays, but I think it's 3, and he drew all 3 of them, and so his draw was really good against me, I think. So he just does a triple Thoughtcast. He hits me, I think, for 9. So the Ninja play was aggressive. I'm not sure if that's right. Maybe I should have Preordained for a Scred. But either way, I have to get lucky, and this puts a creature on board, and this one doesn't. So this is a more consistent play, I think. He plays an Atog, and I'm really glad I left out Counterspell, because that card's unbeatable. Game 1, so I counter that. And now I draw Evolving Wilds. I honestly don't remember what I did. Preordain. Okay, so the Scred wasn't even on top, so if I Preordained last turn, then I wouldn't have been able to Scred. I wouldn't have been able to do anything. And so if I'm being results oriented, Ninja was better, but people can argue that it wasn't better, like the percentages were better to do Preordain last turn. But in any case, I whiff again. So I decide I have to gush and look for. Scred isn't good enough because I'm gushing, so I only have 3 lines to play, but I can Scred the next turn. And in the meantime, I'm looking for Bolt now. I whiff again, and I play Fairy Miscreant, play Island, and I pass. I don't even attack here because I really want to block the 2/2. So I'm looking pretty dead here. I was thinking to myself, there's no way I can win. He plays Springwolf Drum. I don't really care. So this was interesting. He taps his guy instead of the Prophetic Prism for a Galvanic Blast, so I think he misses out on 1 damage. Unless he thought that I had a Spell Stutter Spray and I was going to block this Germ Token, but that was never going to happen, let's be honest. I'm going to block this thing all the time. And so he Galvanic Blast pre-combat, so I can flash my Spell Stutter in. And I'm like, sure, I'll take it. I leave up a mountain to represent Bolt, even though I don't have one. There's nothing I can represent with 1 blue anyways. So I represent Bolt. He full swings. Now he can't swing with his 1/1. And the only reason he does his Galvanic Blast is if he has a second one, right? He just wants to get the Spell Stutter out and tap me down. But I don't think that's not good logic, in my opinion. That doesn't make any sense at all. And he's also representing it with Prophetic Prism. So in my mind here, I'm thinking, I can never let this 4/4 through because I'm going to get Galvanic Blasted out of the game. But so I have to chump there, and I can do trades like this. So I can just let the 2/2 in, and then leave my Spell Starter back to chump again next turn, the Mirror Enforcer. And then he does end of turn Galvanic Blast on me, so I'm at 2. And so I think, so obviously I haven't drawn well during this game, but I'm thinking, what are the ways I can win? And the ways I can win is, I have to survive next turn, obviously, and the way I survive that is I play my Ninja, just play it. The other option was to, no, that wouldn't have worked. I was thinking maybe I could Ninja the Spell Stutter and then draw a Scred, but that's not even good enough because there's 3 power attacking back. So I have to do this to survive. And I was thinking here, if he does nothing, if his 2 cards are blank, I can trade here, chump here, take 1, go to 1, and then I can draw an auger into Scred and Scred this down, and I'll actually be in a good spot at 1 health, like because I have a counter spell up to counter anything that's good, and eventually I'll draw a brainstorm or something that'll turn these all into counter spells. But if I just survive this turn, I think I was in a really good spot. Not a really good spot. I was in a reasonable spot, having stabilized. You think, but he has a burn spell here, I think. Yeah, he flings me out of the game and I just die. But I actually think I would have been reasonably okay if I top decked Augur or Discred. So that's just something to think about coming back. I thought I played fairly well. The only turn was the ninja turn. I'm not sure if that's accurate, if that's correct to do. Yeah, that's something to think about for sure. I'm not sure. Tell me what you guys think, obviously, again. Game 2, I'm on the play. This hand is interesting. I signed in Swirling Sandstorm. So my sideboard plan against Affinity is to go full control. So I cut a couple of counter spells. I cut Delvers, and I sided Swirling Sandstorm, Hydroblast for a Tog, Pyroblast for the Serpent, and I just go full control. And obviously Gorilla Shaman for the machine gun effect. But my plan is basically to get the 4 lands and Swirling Sandstorm them out of the game. I do Mountain Fairly Miscreant so I can leave up turn 2 Spell Stutter. And with this now I can counter anything he plays, except Frogmite. And he plays Frogmite. And he plays Prism here. I think countering this is reasonable because it forces him to tap the Frogmite for colored mana. Like if he wants to play if he wants to have blue mana or something, he has to tap the Frogmite instead of tapping a land. And so that in itself is reasonable. It stops a card, it stops his fixing. It's just reasonable to counter. And Affinity doesn't have a lot of 2 mana spells that you want to counter anyways. The only one is a Tog. And I'm not going to leave up Spell Stutter for the rest of the game, especially when I only have 1 island right now. So I'm going to go for the Spell Stutter here. A Preordain here, and I look for another land. I find one and a Fairy Miscreant. I think I keep both on top, just for the card draw effect. So I go Island. 1 second, guys. Alright, I'm back. I go Island, and then he plays another Prism. So his draw has been pretty slow. It's turn 3. And he has 6 power in play. That's not the worst. I could Scred this Frogmite here, or maybe even Scred it last turn, but I just choose to not Scred because I want to Scred the 4/4. That's my plan. Fairy Miscreant, gonna play it obviously. So this is an interesting turn, and the thing that's interesting about this turn is whether I want the second Swirling Sandstorm. And in my mind, and my answer was yes, because all my guys were flyers, and so I could use this as a 4 mana deal 5 after this. So I sweep him once, and then he plays another Mirror Force, and I sweep him again. That was my logic. But at the time, I was thinking I wanted the second Swirling Sandstorm. So I think I choose not to Brainstorm Shuffle here. I just choose to shuffle Scred instead of Brainstorm Shuffle Scred. But I think that's a mistake in hindsight because Swirling Sandstorm doesn't deal with Serpent or a Tog, and I really need outs to either of them. So I need to draw more cards. So I should have just Brainstormed here. But I think I just go for Shuffle Scred. I have to shuffle here in order to get the Scred for the 4th land. But the question is whether I Brainstorm, and I think the answer is always yes in hindsight. It's something I learned instead of the second Swirling Sandstorm. Especially because I'm so far away from Threshold right now. Like, this is number 2, this is number 3, and this could be easily number 4, but I'm still 3 cards out. And so, if I chump with all 3, then I'll have Threshold, but that's not a good way to activate Threshold, obviously. So I scry here, I attack, and I don't Brainstorm. He Thoughtcasts again, and then he plays Electrickery, and that blows me out completely. That feels pretty bad. He plays Carapace Forger, and now I'm actually in a situation where I don't actually have Threshold yet. If I ponder for a land, I can find a seventh card. Sorry, if I ponder for a land, I'll have a fifth land to play, and I'll have 7 in my graveyard for Threshold. So I ponder, and I find the land, but now my thinking is, if one of his last 2 cards is a Tog or Gear Serpent, I just lose the game. And so I'm at 20, I'm healthy, and I think I'm just gonna counterspell instead. I'm gonna do Preordain Land Counterspell, I think. Oh, I do land Preordain Counterspell. Well, I guess I can just Preordain for the land and then Swirling Sandstorm. So maybe that's why I thought it was okay to do that. In any case, yeah, that's what I do. And now I have Counterspell up for the Tog or Gear Serpent, but and I just take 6 here. So I'm a little conservative here in my line. I'm just thinking that I'm using health as a resource, I guess. And I take 6. And then he has a Tog, so I'm like, great. I'm gonna counterspell this. But he has the Dispel, and that's just a huge blowout. I know they bring in Dispel sometimes, but I didn't know they brought it in a lot against Delver, because we also have Spell Stutter, which Spell Stutter is really good against Dispel, obviously, because you can't counter Spell Stutter, and Spell Stutter counters Dispel. So I got blown out here, and I was really sad about that. But yeah, big beats. I got blown out. I'm forced to Swirling Sandstorm obviously now. I don't Preordain for the land, there's no reason to. He's double sacks and lets the Tog live, and he has the Galvanic Blast to kill me. Yeah, I was thinking that if he didn't have the Galvanic Blast either, then it's gonna take him quite a while for the Tog to kill me, and I can Swirling Sandstorm again for another 2 lands. But he does have it, and he just kills me here. So that's the end of the top 8. I realize this video has gotten really long, so I apologize. If anybody that's watched to the end, that's really cool of you guys. But that's it for me. And I hope this video turned out okay despite my sick voice. Thank you.